People, welcome and thanks for tuning in. It's Ian here along with Chris.
Hey!
Coming at you for, well, the last time we're doing this line of the 20th Century Fox X-Men movies. This is for Dark Phoenix. We are hot off of seeing this one, theaters, and I'm glad it's over.
When did you see it? Did you see it today or yesterday?
I caught it today. I was looking at my my show times. They just didn't line up too good, so I just did first showing.
Okay, yeah, I got out of there, I don't know, an hour ago, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah, so the last one, Dark
Finally.
Phoenix, out of 10,000 X-Men movies, this is it.
Oh man!
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. See you later.
See you later. Here it is, the send-off film.
Or not.
Or not for almost almost, what is it? Close to 20 years. The X-Men movies,
20 years. 1999 was the first one.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I know. And they never did get their shit together. but did they even really try? Did they really try?
Not feeling it here. Hey, it's just a heads up, those of you checking this review out. This is going to be riddled with spoilers. We don't have any non-spoiler or anything like that separate for this review, so you've been warned ahead of time. If you're waiting to see this one elsewhere, you should jump ship. Other than that, keep listening.
You mean jump ship from us?
Yeah, jump ship right now.
I thought you meant jump ship.
Or you can carry that over. You carry it over. If you didn't see this movie, jump ship period.
jump off that train.
Yeah.
It's gonna crash. Yeah, so this is review and discussion.
Yeah.
So, you know what though? I kid because ironically, and I'm going to use this metaphor a few times, I'm sure. This franchise has been a train wreck.
Yeah.
It's had its ups. It's definitely had its downs. I got to be honest with you though. I kid and stuff, and and I think we can't help but to kind of do this review as a review in part, in whole, of the entire franchise
Definitely.
that we've had. This was not great,
Right.
but I don't think I would say this was bad. This was not Apocalypse. This was not Days of Future Past. You know what? In fact, another thing, I think it's right kind of there with Days of Future Past for me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there's some good stuff here. There's a lot of bad stuff here, but there's some good stuff here.
The number one thing I'm taking away coming out of this too, as far as what it's an up from, and I know a lot of people out there are probably going to say, well, this isn't saying much, but you know what? It's a step up from Last Stand, from the last Dark Phoenix movie we had.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I know.
what that Pee-wee movie on Netflix is a step up from Last Stand.
Yeah, see, exactly. I know I'm not
that's dog shit.
I'm not. That's not throwing the stone too far. So
yeah.
At least it's beyond that. It's funny when I look at both and I kind of compare. It's hilarious. Last Stand had everything it needed to succeed, but it was a whiff because we were invested. We had a build with the characters. We'd seen the relationships. We were looking at Logan. We were looking at Jean. All the interpersonal stuff. All the things were on the table for that next one to be amazing. To start exploring Dark Phoenix, and it just had a spectacular miss. Whereas,
everything on the table except for a good director and a good script.
Exactly. And here we are, here on this turn of things where I don't think we had those pieces on the table. That this is really, it's a send off when it would not being a send off. I see this movie and I say, man, it really feels like this sort of exists in its own void instead of building upon all those other things that we saw in First Class and the rest of it. I mean, this barely acknowledges that Apocalypse was a thing. You've got some returning roles and stuff like that.
Excuse me. Yeah, this was hit and miss all over the place. And after a culmination of 20 years, but really after a reboot, this is the fourth film since First Class, the fourth X-Men, major X-Men movie. Obviously there was Logan in between that, but that goes off in its own direction.
Right.
That is almost like the ending of the original series of movies.
It is.
Which is not officially, but it basically is. Simon, how do you pronounce this? Kinberg
Hmm.
wrote and directed this, although it does appear that there are other people getting writing credits, although his name was plastered at the end, almost
Right.
as though he's proud of this. You shouldn't be.
Right.
Not a good director.
Mm,
This is his first outing, so give him big break for that.
for sure.
Very, the directing of this was as basic bitch as it gets. I mean, I've seen better stuff when I was in college from other students I was going to school with. It was very basic. It wasn't. He's just having a really bad job telling, or a really bad time telling the story through directing.
Right.
I think now, and I don't know because I'm looking at the IMDb here as we're talking. I don't know who gets credits specifically for what, as far as there was a strong plot here.
Yeah.
There was some good foundation to this movie. They really just jacked it up along the way, though. And I'm not even talking about the third act, specifically the train section, which was added on after. A lot of people know that. There was a
Right.
different ending that was going to take place in space, but they cut it out and they reshot. That's that last reshoots they did some months back.
Yeah. That was
Um,
that was a bad signal up
it
front.
was going to take place in space, but I guess apparently it was so much like a prior superhero movie that they had to redo it, or they felt they needed to redo it. I would have loved to have seen what that was.
Same. Same. I kind of
Um,
wonder if the home release is gonna do anything with that.
Yeah, and we'll probably hear something as time goes on, but they've actually been pretty quiet as far
Hmm.
as what that ending was. Only that, yeah, we had to redo that. Now, for the train sequence at the end, you can tell that's a different director.
Right.
That is not Simon Kinberg directing that. That is somebody else, and you can tell it's better. The action's better for that.
It,
And
it
I
is.
guess let me say that because I think the biggest disappointment for me in this movie was the action sequence, what New York in front. That looked like, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That was set up. I mean,
Right.
I was excited. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
look at this. We got Phoenix in there. We got the mutants out here.
Yep.
The Brotherhood, or I guess, or some variation of them with
Right.
Magneto. You got the X-Men here. Beast is on the wrong side. So, oh, yes. And then
Yeah.
it's a mess.
Yeah. I
It was not even a mess. It's a shit show.
you pluck some of the thoughts right from my head about that. I was gonna say one of the best comparisons is the scenes aren't even that far apart. The train scene, third
No.
act, and then this, but you put those two side by side, and it's like, wow, they're like this. Just the styling of these feels, completely different.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the New York scene felt very like canned, very
It,
contained.
it felt it felt like the director was way over his head.
Mm,
And maybe can too, sure. But
right,
yeah, it was just like I don't know how to tell this story I want to tell. That's what it felt like.
right,
It's like
right.
there's too much going on. I don't know how to properly put this on the screen, and he didn't. He was right. He didn't, and he did a really bad job. Yeah. And now I have to say this though, when I look at something or look at why something's upsetting me, it's because for some reason I give a shit. And I'm a
It's
little
the X
surprised at
Men.
this point that, yeah, it's the X-Men. Here's what I'll give the writing crew, whoever did it, and I'll give Simon Kinberg some props for this too. He does a good job of actually actually portraying these characters in large part.
Yeah.
Storm's really cool. Nightcrawler's the shit in this movie.
Yes, he is.
Love Nightcrawler. Cyclops finally, after 10,000 movies, Cyclops got his props.
He
He got
did.
his proper role. They did Cyclops well. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I was excited about it. In fact, the whole time I'm like, oh, they're gonna fuck him. I know it because they always do. He's Cyclops. They're gonna screw him over. They always screw Cyclops over. They didn't.
No. No.
Solid, good. So if you're a Cyclops fan, and he's one of my favorite mutants, this is worth seeing just for that, I think.
There's a moment that I think is really well balanced. In my opinion, this is one of the best character moments. Especially if you're coming from the comics, and you're familiar with the character, this just highlights who he is, both as a character and what he's done for the X-Men. It's when he's returning to the mansion. He's trying. The younger students are all out, and they're trying to say, what happened? Figure this out. And it's like, hey, is it true? Did Jean actually, she kill Mystique? And he walks that line. He's always been the front man for the team. a lot. You know, whether that's being the direct leader, taking direct, command in a really tense situation, or like firefight or whatever, or if it's just being that extra support, that extra moral compass to kind of push everyone forward. And seeing him walk that line to do that, to try to, not cover things up, so it's like to make a bunch of distrust between everyone, but try to deliver the facts in a kind of tapered way.
In a way that children should hear it.
Exactly. That's Cyclops, and that was really well done. I remember I nodded, I smiled a bit on that. I'm like, yeah, that was a good lick. Good
Cyclops got his day, and I'm happy about that. They're at least Cyclops finally got his movie.
Yeah.
And he's right where he should be. He's an important part of the role. He's not a critical part of the role. Or let me rephrase this. Not so much critical, but he's not a leading person in the movie.
Right.
But he's there. He's right where he should be. And I was really happy about that. That being said, I don't really buy the actor who's playing him as Cyclops. Doesn't quite have the look. Same thing with Sophie Turner, and I've said this in the past. She's actually a really good actress.
Mm-hmm.
Never bought her as Jean Grey.
Right.
Still don't.
Right.
Doesn't it's like you can't just throw a redhead on the screen and say that's Jean Grey.
Right.
Which is what it feels like they did, because she just doesn't have the look outside of fair skin and pale hair.
Right.
Or fair skin and red hair. But she's a good actress, but you're just not looking the part. And I'm sorry, that's obviously a critical part for comics, is that, coming from such a visual media, you've got to look that part. And Jean Grey has been has had a certain look to her for 60 years, 50, 60 years. So, and every time it kind of took me out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now all that being said, and this was kind of a surprise to me, because Fassbender's been Magneto for a while now.
Yes, he has.
And I've always enjoyed Michael Fassbender, just about everything he does.
Like the guy's intensity, especially,
This is the first time where I saw Fassbender as Magneto. I'm like, that is freaking Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been in my head. It's like, oh, he's playing Magneto. But I mean, especially when they get there, when Jean goes to his island.
Yeah.
And I was like, if he just had some gray hair, or even if they would have dyed his hair a lighter or grayer kind of tint to it, that is Magneto.
Absolutely.
Right there. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you've only been getting from like the MCU and in some parts of the DCEU, but you've not often got that from the X-Men movies. Not for a long time. Not
right.
Since we've been getting all these movies. But I'm like, oh my God. And to the point where I'm like, look, I would almost, being Marvel Studios, I may even want to look at Fassbender to bring him back.
Yeah.
To play Magneto. He's even, he's got the older look that he needs. Magneto's a really hard character to get down, because he's supposed to be much older, but he's also like, he's, superhero fit, like
exactly.
They all are. But he did it.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
No, yeah.
So I loved it for that. They did a really good job with some characters.
Yeah. And besides, I think just with the characterization, as far as like the raw look, I gotta admit, the one thing that sort of surprised me about just Magneto this time, and this is not necessarily a Fassbender thing, but just his portrayal in general here, was how rapidly he kind of flipped with the tide about his convictions. I mean, this is a guy that usually gets something in his head and he stays pretty darn grounded on it. He's like a laser sight, but he goes from, well, I'm a murderer, I'm a killer, to I had a change of heart, and some others. And Magneto is never one that is necessarily jump between poles a lot. That's part of what made the conflict between him and Xavier so interesting over the years.
They're so entrenched.
They're so entrenched, and they're just immovable in where they stand. So like I also love the chess game they always play. It's such a representation between them.
No, I agree, especially since he's the only one that actually loses mutants in those fights.
Yeah, right?
It's like, you think you'd get a little pissed about that.
Yeah.
But what do you do? It's a weak story.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm looking for the pluses where I can find them here.
Same.
McAvoy, you could put McAvoy with a couple sock puppets and he'll put out a damn good performance.
Yeah, you could.
So he's good. I mean, he's in my eyes from Glass. This is one of the
Right.
best actors out there right now.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
this movie does not deserve the cast it has.
The cast is all-star. They are awesome. Ah,
Jennifer Lawrence looking like comic book Mystique was great.
yeah.
I mean, it was obvious since the first trailer that she was going to be taken out. Um, and I get it, between her and Beast, the actors don't like the 10,000 pounds of makeup, so they had them looking human sometimes, which, considering that's been a huge plot point in the past, that
Hmm.
it's kind of takes you out a little bit.
Sure.
But you're like, all right, whatever. Whatever. Especially with Jennifer Lawrence, she hates it. She's been vocal about it.
Yep. Yep.
But they gave her old school Mystique kind of look, and they didn't look. And yes, don't even explain it. I'm fine with it. We got to see old school Mystique.
Yep.
All right, I'm cool with that. That's fine. That's fine. And then you killed her. That's fine too.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
doesn't have
that's
to be
okay
here.
too. Yeah.
You can tell she actually tried in this film.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was nice, but she didn't have to try for long.
No.
So it works out. In my opinion, Mystique has always had way too much of a role in these films.
Yeah.
It's always been way too huge. Not that I don't dislike the character, but it never made a lot of sense to me why they're putting so much emphasis on this character. And I think it's been for different reasons depending on the film. Rebecca Romijn Stamos at the time was a huge name in the 90s and early 2000s.
Right.
For the first couple movies. And then they used her as a plot point in Days of Future Past because they had to connect it somehow.
Yeah.
So, there's been different reasons for it. So, going forward, oh, wait, that's right. There is no going forward. It brings a smile to my face. Let's see. But yeah, the story... and actually, talking about the story and staying on the topic I was just on, her death, extremely underwhelming.
Yeah.
Did you get that too?
No, I did.
It was like, I don't know. It was something about how they did it, and it was just extremely underwhelming. And then they made a huge error in the time, the timing of the whole thing, because they immediately go to her funeral.
Right.
But then after the funeral, they cut to they cut to the street they were just on,
Right.
where the fight was. But there's still like a bunch of cops and
Yeah.
and everything. It's like, but what, did they take her immediately to the mansion and bury her
Right.
like
Right.
the same day?
Usually if this crime scene was like cordoned off or something like that, there wouldn't. I mean, I would think there
Yeah,
would be.
it wouldn't. It would look like that right after the incident.
Yeah, or like not as much immediate activity. I
Right.
think that the biggest selling point for me was Jean Grey's biological father. With him still being in the house as though the trauma had just happened.
Right.
I-
Right. Yeah. This was I mean, again, very sloppy,
Yeah.
as a lot of the story is for this thing. I will say though that even though I think they missed the beats on this, telling the beats properly, I'm glad to see that they actually went with the actual origins in large part for the Phoenix.
Same. No, same.
That was cool, and it was kind of refreshing that they went right into it when the movie starts. Boom, we're going to space.
Yep.
Whoa, let me get my spacesuit on. I didn't think we were going so quick. And that whole part was cool. Although it was kind of weird when she's in the space shuttle and that thing's obviously falling apart and you can see space and she's breathing fine. Did you notice that too?
No, I did. I think there's part of a stretch that we have to do as viewers. It's like it's just assumed. It's like I guess she created one of her fields. Those like bubbles.
I guess, but I mean, at the same time, it would have been awesome for her to see Nightcrawler take her over there, and then she immediately gets sucked in the vacuum of space.
Yeah. I was actually kind of worried about that. I was like, wait, he's gonna. Oh, holy crap! Oh man. But real quick, I gotta ask you, story wise, because I agree. There's some high fidelity, good attention to the original origins of Phoenix. This is one that I think is a little tricky to tell all in one movie because this was a spanning arc. Back when it happened in the comics, and that went to galactic levels.
Mm-hmm.
of things that happened and turns of characters and everything else. So you think about when you're adapting that story to big screen and trying to tell the whole thing. I think it's hard to do there. And part of me says, one of those downfalls is trying to take that galactic element, bringing in the extra, other extraterrestrial race or other villains and stuff like that to, muddy the waters even further. Like, I don't know. Story wise, do you think it would have paced along a little better if we didn't have those extras, if we didn't have the malevolent race, trying to take powers themselves?
There's no, I get what you're saying. It feels like there's more going on than there needs to be.
Right.
But I think I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to say it eloquently, which is something I don't normally try to do. But I think sometimes, like, when you've got a group of middle schoolers and you give them a really hard science project, sometimes they have to take more steps than they need to get the job done.
Right.
And I think that's what we have here.
Right.
I think it's just like these people were over their heads on this project, but they always have been. Yeah. I mean, in it, if you go back to the first couple X-Men movie, I mean, I like the first X-Men movie. You have to give the first one props just for at least attempting to make it.
Oh, it's the breakout.
Right, and it wasn't important, but it's not as important as some people try to make it out to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember that Blade came out the same year, so when you look at these movies, it's like, well, this is how they had to make movies. Look at Blade, man.
Yeah,
they didn't have to look. Let's put comic book characters on screen, and just because they're on screen, hey, give us the money.
Right.
It's like, and then you look at Blade, it's like one character, a good story, and so no, they didn't have to. But you give it props. You give it props nonetheless. X-Men 2 was good, and I like First Class.
Same.
And First Class was all over the place as far as following comic book continuity in any sense. It was a big mess. But and I've always said, they jumbled everything up and they made it a big mess and they made it a period piece and it worked. And right. I think if they would have continued in that way, it could have worked. But then they're like, oh, let's connect them. No. Why are you trying to connect this? Don't you remember what just happened? It wasn't that long ago. And, but they've been over their head for a long time. And the comic book genre, the superhero genre in films, it's funny because they started at the same point, but it has not just surpassed the X-Men movies, it's been lapping it.
Right.
And they've been over their head. And this story is not one, they shouldn't have told it in 2006 with Last Stand. They shouldn't have told it here.
Mm-hmm.
They're not prepared, especially like first time director and regular X-Men producer. And sometimes he works on the scripts and they gave it to this guy and he did a lot better than I thought he would. I'll be honest.
Right.
But yeah, this was, I don't know. I mean, part of me feels like they should have trimmed it down a little bit, or they should have just gone crazy with it. I mean, because I could actually see the Dark Phoenix story. They should probably tell it in one, maybe two movies. But if you're going to go with one, I mean, you got to go like Lord of the Rings size.
Yeah.
On it. There's a lot here. I mean, even to the point, even with both the comics and where most people have their exposure with the Phoenix Saga, the cartoon, in both cases, you're like, oh my God, I love this story, but are we still on this damn thing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really? Are we still? But yes, you are. There's a lot to tell here. There's a lot to, yeah. So it felt like there was too much in the box, but at the same time, it felt like they needed other things that weren't there.
Right.
And I think that's ultimately why it falls flat. Because, and speaking of which, there's like no explanation as to what this race of aliens are.
This is true.
Why they're there, what they can do. And, as much as I think the train scene at the end did a good job of putting a lot of things together. When Magneto's shooting all those guns on evil white-haired chick lady.
Yeah. That
is some of the worst CGI I have seen in a long time. That is redonkulous. It's a joke. How it's like it's barely even. It's like dude is shooting like 20 plus high-powered military machine guns in her face, and she's just kind of slowly walking. It's like, oh look, it looks like she just popped a pimple. Like it I mean, she shouldn't have a head.
No.
after all those shot off like 5 rounds. There's no more. That's the thing, and I think they left it ambiguous just so that they could be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, this is bullshit. Especially when you're watching some of them get cut down by 50 cal.
Yeah, I was about to say that the 50 cal was the most effective, throughout that. But then you have that ridiculous pile of weapons that just still makes basically a pea shooter.
Right. But if you're looking at destructive power of something, obviously a 50 cal is going to be more powerful. But I'm pretty sure 20 machine guns can also turn things to mush.
Oh yeah. It
was that was actually really the worst part of it, with that whole train thing. I was like, that really took me out. I'm like, oh, come on. Magneto is great though at the end, especially when there's the few, like, he starts taking on these alien things by himself, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, don't they understand that he can he just did it. He just crushed the entire train on them.
Yeah.
I'm actually literally at that moment thinking, like, don't they understand what he can do? Can't they see him manipulate it? Never mind. They're dead. Doesn't matter. I was waiting for it, and I'm glad they did it, because if they would have missed that opportunity, I would have been upset. It's like, he's got to crush a train. He's gotta.
Yep. Dude, you gotta have that flex for a character this powerful in the X-Men verse, and I think for the scope of it that we see, it was good to get to get a genuine nod to that once. He deserves more awesome moments like that. So.
That was Magneto got his time in this too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Someone who I thought was grossly underpowered. If I can find the actress here, Storm.
Yeah, I was gonna hit on that.
Alexandria Shipp. Who, by the way, I get Halle Berry. I get it. And back then, perfect. This is even more Storm.
Yeah.
This is even much better Storm. I'm sorry, you're shooting lightning at people. I don't even care if they're alien, whatever the fuck they are. That's killing them. If 50 cals are killing them, lightning bolts are killing them.
Yeah, and it comes down to this, like, spark show. I'm like, wait. I don't know if it's a thing of Storm just on an off day or something, but dude, you give Storm access to unfettered atmosphere, she's gonna insta-jib something with just a raw bolt. I mean.
That was really disappointing.
Yeah.
But that's this movie, dude.
It is.
It gets it's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, the whole freaking film.
Yeah.
And almost to the point where the analogy works, to the point of, at the end of it, you're just you don't feel any better or worse about these X-Men films by the end.
Right.
At least I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think it's important to stress that this definitely didn't move me one way or another for the series as a whole. The points, the up points are still the up points. The lows are still the lows. Like this is definitely not a movie that changes my opinion of Logan or anything else. So
Nightcrawler was awesome though. I'm gonna come back to that.
Yeah, yeah.
When he gives no shits about not hurting people anymore, it's like boom. And he's just like, he's poofing and stabbing and poofing and stabbing.
Dude, he is surgical, man.
That was so awesome. That was so great. I mean, back again in X2 when we got to see Nightcrawler the first time, and the sound effect. By the way, the sound effect of his teleporting is so satisfying,
isn't it?
Oh, and when it was basically, it's very similar to what they did in X2, and when they brought him in X2, I mean, that was like mind blowing.
It was.
And then we didn't get him again. The actor didn't want to do it anymore, and I can't. Again, they don't want to be in a full suit of makeup for. They don't want to sit in the makeup chair for 10 hours. That was the reason why. I think it might also been because X-Men Last Stand was shit. He knew it was going to be read the script. He's like, no, that's okay. And 10 hours of makeup.
Yeah.
And be attached to this movie. No. But he was so good. Yeah. He was so good. It was great. And then he's stabbing people with his tail.
Right. Almost surprised he didn't drop off I'm just gonna say the lead alien, because I think Vuk, I think, which is the name she went by. I think that I saw referenced by the goons at least at one point.
You talking about the blonde or the white haired chick?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm almost surprised that he didn't take her on another quick ride, just drop her off somewhere real quick. But
like he did with the one, dropped her in front of the train.
That was awesome.
It was so good.
So good.
It's it's not because and again, this is something that they did Nightcrawler pretty well all along.
Yeah.
Especially the actor did a really good job of portraying him as like, man, I don't. Can we just sit down and talk about this? And
Exactly.
but when he was done talking,
Yeah.
that was great. That was great. Big props for that.
Yeah.
What the hell's with the ending though? Why does Professor X retire?
This
And is he gonna go live with Magneto? Is that
right?
that's a sitcom I want to see.
Same.
That's the new Odd Couple.
Oh, the Charles and Magnus show. I can just see it now. That'd be great.
Professor X wheels in the kitchen. Magneto, are you trying to destroy the world again? Look at what you're building here in the kitchen. Shut up, Charles.
Cue the sitcom laughing crowd. Oh man, that's so good. But again, this is another leap I think we're expected to take as viewers. There's a lot that we have to infer there somehow between trust being broken, Charles feeling like he's no longer in a position to head the school after the whole after the incident.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah,
I just don't understand that. It's like, okay, yeah, you had to do some bad things. Guess what? Hey, guess what, kids? Sometimes good people have to do bad things. It's. I mean, it bothered the crap out of me how Mystique is just all over Charles at the beginning of the movie. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What it's like really, you grew up with this guy, and you're like, this is all about your vanity and pride." It's like, I mean, it's not. He's enjoying that part of it.
Right.
I'll give him that, and that makes him a three-dimensional character.
Yes,
sorry, Mystique, I know you don't know anything about that, but at least in these movies. But he is enjoying it. But I think what he's mainly enjoying, he's like, hey, look,
yeah,
they love the mutants.
This is, and just understand, this is this man's dream made manifest. I mean, it's something that he has fought for, and that's one of the few moments in this film, I think, where we're taking all the work that he's done in the previous films, building up from First Class to here, which is such a surprise for both Mystique's character and then for Beast's character. I think there's just that how fast they flip on him.
Well, Beast is on board. I agree. I agree. Yeah, seeing him working with Magneto was kind of stupid. Mm-hmm. Beast is on board until Mystique dies. He's still on the Xavier train. Again, another train analogy.
Yeah.
The Charles Xavier wagon. He's there until Mystique dies, and him being upset about that makes sense, and even getting in his face.
Sure.
In the kitchen like he did makes sense. Sure. But him even going to Magneto makes sense. But then he's like, part of Magneto's team now. Let's go fight Cyclops. That makes no sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I think that, and let's go Cyclops and whoever else I got to go through, and then with Magneto's line, if I find her, I'm going to kill her. Like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it sounded like there should have been some struggle in his voice with that one, some hesitation. So again, I buy that he would go to Magneto knowing that he would do that, but at the same time, I'd be like, here's the keys. Take the plane. Let's go. But no, I thought they were doing a really good job of, it's like, yeah, he's here, and almost like a product of the 90s where the X-Men were so huge. The comics and everything. Absolutely. It's like, yeah, in the 90s here, they're in 1992, and everybody loves the X-Men, and they're, I thought that was great, but, it's like I said, Mystique's like, Charles, what'd you do? It's like, bitch, shut up. Everything's fine. I had to do some, and it's like, how does she not, that's the other thing, how does she not know that he did this? I mean, she's been around.
Oh, yeah.
How does he not? How did they not have a conversation at the point when he had Jean Grey? And I mean, this is obviously not easy for him, Xavier, to have to do this with Jean Grey. But he did what he had to do, and yes, it was the wrong thing, but it was also the necessary thing. And I would have thought that at some point these two who consider themselves siblings and obviously very close would have had a conversation or two about this, if not at the time that it happened. sometime down the line.
Definitely, and she has the maturity too. You know, as a character who can be as covert ops as covert ops. You know, Mystique always struck me as one who could approach these kind of discussions, and I think not just an upfront way, but oblique, roundabout if she had to. You know, she's always an intelligent character too. So I think that just the outburst about that, just to cut him down.
Well, and someone who's understood, you know, one side or the other.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, she is in the comic books and in these movies, she's switched from good to bad on a couple of occasions. That was completely out of character. Well, now let me rephrase. That was out of character. It was not completely out of character,
right?
But it was very much. I think it was very much out of character for her. But you know, hey, got to move the plot.
Yep.
We can't give this too much thought. We have to get a movie made. So, you know, I have to write and direct this thing. It's my first time. Maybe they should have given it to somebody else. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, but why again? Why is he retiring again? Because we just started talking about how this has been his mission forever.
Yeah,
and how he's been working on. It's like, yeah, you made a couple mistakes, but really, he's out.
Yeah,
he resigns.
That seemed like a bit much, but
yeah. And he's in France. And now he's gonna play some chess, and that was neat.
Yeah,
that was neat. Let's play some chess. You know, Magneto cheats at chess. You know it.
Yes, dude.
You know he's cheating. If they're metal pieces, Xavier's not looking. Just moves a piece over.
Like he's like, you better not look away.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which was a great line, by the way. When Magneto says, "I'll go easy on you."
Yeah.
And then Charles says, "No, you won't."
You won't.
that was good. I mean, there's some heart here. Somebody got some of this.
They did. They
just didn't get enough for a full movie.
Right.
And it, like I said, you know, they bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah. So
what else? What else are we looking at? Special effects as a whole were kind of shit.
Yeah, just nothing that'll blow your mind here.
Yeah.
I think where we're sitting, and I think anything that you saw in trailers for this one, honestly, for as far as you've gone, it's pretty much given itself away. I think outside of some of the train stuff, which is fun, which is cool, but still nothing mind-bending.
Mindbender.
You see what I did there.
Yeah, I did.
I like it. Score. What about
serviceable?
Yeah.
It was fine. It was yeah. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, works for the context.
Anything else we want to bitch about or congratulate on?
I think
there's a mixed bag here.
Last but not least, Jean Grey technically dying 3 times, and this was I thought it was
you know, yeah, I'll give him some props for when she gets stabbed.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, "Nuh-uh." Nope. Didn't happen.
You know,
I was safe.
I mentioned that for really, I think, flexing that immortal element and that transcendent part of Phoenix. I think that was illustrated through that in a pretty cool way.
But at the same time, I'm not going to take too much away from that because that was pretty neat.
Sure.
You know, we go from I can't control it. What is this? Blah, blah, blah. And then she meets white-haired chick. She's like, "I will teach you."
Yeah.
It's been like a day, and now she knows how to reverse being killed.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Luke Skywalker.
Careful, might want to call her Rey. I don't know.
Yeah. I say Luke Skywalker because Empire Strikes Back when he's learning all of his powers.
Oh, true.
It's one of the most complained about and universally accepted problems with the original trilogy is that the passing of time in Empire Strikes Back is just completely screwed up and still highly debated.
Right.
As how much time has actually passed while he's on Dagobah and what's going on in Cloud City and everything. I think the general accepted part is that it's been a few weeks, but he's so damn good that he just learns that quickly.
Yeah, that was a jump. It's funny you meant wasn't.
But it feels like days.
It does.
But in this case, we know it's one day.
Yeah, and then here you have Jean being ridiculous. So.
Yeah, but it's still, I don't. You know, again, I'm not going to take it away. We've already said enough about how they could not handle the pieces of the story that they needed to do. So,
but no, man, I think that rounds it. Sounds like we're coming to that point.
All right, we're gonna rate it.
Out of what are you gonna rate this? Out of Phoenixes or I don't know.
No,
No, no,
no,
no.
no.
It's not good.
One out of 10 wheelchairs.
Wheelchairs. I like it. I like it. You first. You first in this one.
I think, and I've been debating on this since I got out of the movie in my brain. I think I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. You know what? No. I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna go 7.
Fair enough.
It's serviceable. Because I think of the 1 through 10 as like kind of school grades, and the 6.5 is like a D minus.
Right.
It's like a D or D minus. No, it's a C.
Right.
It's a C. It's a 7. It's a 70%. There's some serious problems here. You're gonna, and if it's gonna bug you, if you're one of those people where you're just not gonna be able to enjoy the movie because they get a lot of shit wrong,
Right.
you're not gonna like this. But if you can take away the good and the bad, and you can, because again, it's an X-Men movie.
Right.
You
Right.
know there's gonna be good and bad, and not good guys and bad guys, but good parts of the movie and bad parts of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot more than Apocalypse. That's for damn sure.
True.
You
True.
know, even though you can put Psylocke out there, and yeah, that was what's her name? Who played Psylocke? Something Munn. I forget the first name.
I forget, but
Yeah, you can put her in that tight uniform, and hey, that's a
I was
point.
about to say right?
That's just a point, though. I saw that on TV the other day. It's like Apocalypse. I was like, God, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? I remember when they first showed Apocalypse, and like some independent guy put together a completely different suit that actually looked like Apocalypse. And like, this is how you do this. Anyways. Yeah, I give it a 7.
Fair enough.
I had a good time with it. I came in knowing that it's the Fox X-Men film.
Right.
So, I guess for me, it was just kind of like, yeah, all right, I'm already ready for the shit show. But I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Sure.
Props on Magneto, props on Nightcrawler, props on Cyclops. Glad to see that they actually got that on the way out the door. Again, McAvoy is always good. The cast is good. They did a lot of good stuff here, but
Yeah.
it's a 7.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, for many of the same reasons. Coming into this, I honestly thought, I said, oh, shoot, man, this might be the first action movie that, well, I can't say first, because, like you just said, Apocalypse.
First one in a long time.
Yeah. Apocalypse and Last Stand, I didn't care for those, but I said, man, first action movie in a long time that I'm going to have to really, really put low in the scale. I hate to do that. I'm not putting my expectations that high or anything. I really thought I was going to come out of this with like a 4. Or something like that, but you know what? I'm bumping it up. I bumped up a few more points than that. I was jumping between about 6.5, like 6. I'm gonna settle on 6 for this one.
So, and there's parts of it that really do deserve a 4 or even a 3.
Right.
But there's some parts in here that are actually really fun.
No, definitely. Which was the fun
stuff that they've been struggling with since the beginning.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it like that. And I can understand if there's a completely different crew. This guy Simon Kinberg has been around since the beginning, working on these movies in one capacity or another.
Right.
So these are hurdles that he has struggled with or wanted to get over for a long time. So I'll give points for that.
Sure. Definitely.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all. That correlates right in. It's not an easy arc to tell in one film, let alone being given this in the context of, hey, last X-Men movie's a send-off. Bye.
Yeah. And you can tell they just ignored that too. I mean, obviously they went for reshoots after the Disney Fox deal was almost complete.
Right.
They could have done a different ending, but they kept it in there. It's like, hey, there's still aliens, and Charles is retired, and Beast is running the thing, and it's a good enough ending.
It is.
But you can tell they were working towards some other things too.
Oh yeah, for sure. So there we have it. What did you guys think, though? Where'd you set in the scale with this one? Lower, higher? Were there some moments you were really feeling? Some more stuff you didn't like? Or you just want to, hey, express that post down below? We want to hear from you guys. Hopefully maybe throw some magnetic shrapnel at you as a result.
Yeah. And by the way, that actress's name, or the character's name in that was Vuk.
It was Vuk. Okay, good.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, who was your favorite X-Men in this movie? You know what? I give him a little props for this.
Mm-hmm.
I did not miss Wolverine.
I didn't either. Not
And
at all.
maybe that's because I didn't want him in the sewage. but maybe it's because they actually gave some characters who needed a couple bumps up. They actually done so, and
They had room to do that here.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there. I just remembered. Yeah, I didn't miss Logan.
No, right on.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of fatigue too with him being such a centerpiece in almost every X-Men. It was a breath of fresh air for once. So.
Can I just say at this point too, and guys, at the same time, what are you looking forward to the MCU doing?
Yeah.
What is it that you feel that they're really going to get right that maybe hasn't been right in the past, or what who are you looking forward to playing some of these characters in the future? And that being said, I don't want to see X-Men for years.
Yeah,
just
I agree.
Take them away, plot it out, put them in there. Do a really good job with it. Take your time. Again, because when you introduce them, I want a huge multimedia. I want to be bombarded with X-Men. I want to see it on my phone. I want to see it in my games. I want a new lunchbox. I want you to get 50 kids under contract for like the rest of their lives. And I want a lot of people to make a lot of money off of it. I want a lot of actors and actresses to be able to build careers on it if they wanted.
Right.
But you get to start. They get to create the world of the X-Men, and by its foundation, it's kids. Yeah. So we get to follow a lot of characters for a really long time if they do this right, and we get some great stories. Take your time. Put all the I want you to do it like when you're a kid, and you bought that Lego set. And you're following the directions, and you're being real meticulous because you want to make sure you build it just like in there, because that thing is awesome.
Yep.
Do that.
And according from what we've heard from Kevin Feige and everything about the pause period with X-Men and going forward, so I think we're going to get that break that we need. I think.
Can you just imagine Kevin Feige laying on the ground with his Lego set? Put together his X-Men Lego set.
Yeah.
Do that. And it's not just the little one, it's the big one that you always thought you'd never get.
Right.
It's that. Take your time. There we go.
Good times. Good way to wrap up that thought and to wrap up this review. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for checking this out. Stay tuned right here for more. We'd love to hear from you guys. But until next time, peace out. Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, or anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.